Just want to let you folks know that I put up a newsletter on my website, which I'll link in here, which tells you all the new things on it, so that you don't have to hunt all through the site for anything new. I just published a page with all our info on ascension pitfalls, things or people that will try to keep your vibe down as you try to ascend. That's linked into the newsletter as well. Our website is a good resource for learning as much basic info as you need. There's no point asking me because everything I know is on there and in our books. Thanks. Sheran. If you're having problems with this, you need to take a look at what you're doing. First of all, if you're listening to the truth, you should be finding this an easy period in your life. If you are sure in your heart that the best is yet to come, and that God is supporting us through this, then you should feel self-assured and peaceful. Yesterday I heard someone who likes his own opinion and thinks he's right say that JB would take the presidency on the 21st. This made me angry. Why? Because it's not the truth. There will be no concession to the DS. It makes me wonder whose side he's on. I stopped following him. That's how easy it is. How do I know the truth over this guy? Because I stick to it. Like glue. I don't lie, I don't do matrix, I see through all the bullshit on this planet, and every day more and more I experience the mindset of the alien that I am. And that mindset focuses on the truth. I misunderstood what Mr. T was doing on the 6th, and it was later clarified to me by one of the people I follow. One of the ones who follows the truth. If this is bringing up all kinds of chaos in your mind, then you have to take a look and sort your head out. Old stuff is coming up and you may not have dealt with it, but your reaction to what's going on is telling about one thing, your ability to hold the light. If you lose that ability through confusion, it's because mind control is still stronger than your ability to hold the light. Keep working to figure out your own truth. That's the only way to align with the global truth now. When you experience a negative reaction, ask yourself, what is this showing me about myself? Where do I have an intolerance? Or what am I sensing about this information? Is it the truth or is it a lie? One thing, never learn to tolerate lies. Never. Everything in life shows you the way to your inner heart and your higher self. Everything. Everything you react to shows you something about either it if you're sensing its energy, or yourself if you're experiencing an emotional reaction. You have to learn to figure out which one is which. I find when I sense energy, it usually is a shorter burst of emotion, but sometimes it isn't. When I am reacting to something, my emotions can go off the rails. The more I go through the storm, the easier I find it to navigate, and that's because I've done my inner work. I know where my triggers are and I know enough about how the mind works that helps me navigate my reaction. The time I misunderstood Mr. T indicated that in fact I was lying to myself about what he'd said and what his intentions were. Which was easy to do considering he wasn't being overt about his message, he was being covered. However, fortunately the guy I follow caught on to what he'd intended, so I figured it out. Many others reacted over the same thing. Understand how the mind/emotional body works. It senses energy, it responds negatively to lies, and if in confusion, you have to ask what you're telling yourself that takes you out of a loving state. Understand that everyone you're following is subject to lower dimensional interference in any message they receive. Some are good channelers and there are minimal distortions, but the fact is, that any message coming from higher dimensions trying to squish itself into a lower frequency will lose clarity. When entities channel to us, they have to take this into consideration, and they should simplify their message in order to eliminate as much of the distortion as possible. The other thing about channeling, information can't be released that the world isn't ready for. Otherwise we would distort it as a whole and that would affect our lives seriously. Ivo, if you wish to understand this better, take the design for a Ferrari which would cost over $200,000 and then attempt to create a cheaper model which would sell for $30,000. Much would be lost in the design of the auto in order to facilitate manufacture at the lower price. This is how dimensions work as well. The other thing you must understand is that the third and fourth dimensions are replete with distortion in themselves, otherwise you would all be telepathic and not be required to speak through your mouths. Your ability to put a message across to another fourth dimensional is weakened on Earth, and that is deliberately, so you communicate using your mouths. You just noted yourself how rich telepathic communication is because there is far more exchanged as well as the basic message. There is love exchanged, there are emotions exchanged, you have sensed my appreciation for you, and I sense yours for me all the time. When you receive messages from us, you intuit the history behind the message as well as the actual message. Much is conveyed. Speaking with your mouths does not convey this large burst of light to the other, it simply relays a message with not much else, which is a clear distortion of the human condition. Me, yes. Ivo, also with dimensional distortions, it is very difficult for a third-dimensional human to understand even a fifth-dimensional human because you cannot understand something if it is lacking in energy. It is the same idea as your pixelation in photography. To create a photo for a beautiful magazine it requires 3 or perhaps 600 pixels per inch, however to fit it onto the internet, the same photo would require significantly fewer pixels per inch, even less than 100, so the photo will look lackluster by comparison. This example works to show you the difference between dimensions and the channeling of information back and forth. However, for information that is conveyed from one person on Earth to another person, the truth is also difficult to adhere to, because each person who receives it can put their own personal take on each message. So it loses effectiveness. Your light bodies sense the energy of all they encounter. They sense the energy of your homes, your neighbors, and friends. They sense the intention of those who wish you to believe that the virus is actually a problem. Those who do not align with them will disregard their messages, or perhaps become angry at them, and those who align with these lies will agree with them because they are of that frequency. They are liars. Self-deceptive, perhaps, but liars nonetheless. The fact is, your matrix system is set up to facilitate your lying to yourself constantly. Those who can hold their light well will react negatively to the system. They know better, as you say. You sense the energy of everything. You also sense your reaction to everything. That is how the light body works. If you are out of sorts at this time, something you are thinking, trying to believe perhaps, is not working for you. If you are watching the television, and particularly the newscasts, I suggest turning them off because anyone of a higher light quotient will react negatively to what they see. Unless you have trained yourself to be accepting of the negativity and lies upon this earth and they do not bother you any longer. You are energy sensors. Energetic reactors. You are truth sensors. To the extent that you yourself are believing lies, this ability to sense is compromised. To the extent that you have cleared out distortions and lies from your life, your ability to sense the truth is more accurate. The only way to have you align with God, is to have you be able to sense the truth. Because God is the truth. He is the light. To the extent that you have errant beliefs, or to the extent that you partake of the matrix, this is your life to yourself and that indicates how you have turned away from God and still continue to choose to. Your intellect has ways to determine the truth as well. Sheran has complained the entire time of people who have gone off on flights of fancy, believing that a large flash of light will cleanse this entire world of its negativity and all will be forgotten, and then all will live happily ever after. December 21st was another pulse of photon light from the central sun but not the grand solar flash that so many predicted. Sheran declared that this is a logical process, and reason must be adhered to. Reason is the truth. And of course on the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th, everything was as it was before. Nothing had changed. The energies were sensed by the sensitive ones, but you are all still on the paths you were on before the 21st, however the outcomes will be significantly better for all of you now. That is what has changed. Dead people do not arise from the grave if their lives have been snuffed out. Sometimes their clones failed, the clones became addicted to drugs and they were misbehaving. So their handlers created a death scenario for the clone. This is Elvis I speak of. Elvis is dead. At the time of his death, his career was largely over with, and they had made much of the money they could. They wanted him to die still in high esteem of the people rather than turning out poor music, so they killed him. Marilyn is not alive. She was MK Ultra and she knew too much. So she was suicided in order to keep her mouth shut. Those who the CA employed to gather their intel were suicided afterwards because they knew too much. They were on a kamikaze mission without even realizing it. She slept with JFK in order to learn what he had in mind, and her alter was the one that told the CA of the plans of the White Hats. Yes, Marilyn had an alter. That is why such a talented woman had much alone time and could never get herself together. In MK Ultra they create alters within these abused people. You must be aware within your community there are people who create chaos. They do it through lies. These are black magicians and they do not work for our side. The old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, works here as well. Sheran has a wait and see attitude and this has never failed her. When you wait and see you see the truth as you experience it. As for the changes upon your earth now, you can definitely now see the need to take down the internet and social media and you can see why it was predicted that the Saint Germaine funds would be dispensed, out of necessity. You can see now from this standpoint why the financial system would have to be changed to a gold-backed system. This is all obvious and logical at this point. Yet so many predicted that these events would occur over and over and over in your past, and have misled so many people with lies. You must understand the motivations others have to mislead you. Some of that is darkness, others want fame, others want power and control, others want money. Some people get a real kick out of seeing you react. Of upsetting you. That's power over others. And I think there are ones who do it with a smile on their faces, faking that they're trying to help you, which is a horrible deception but they are there. Me, the other thing I want to discuss, Ivo, is that the people you are following may belong to other factions of the Illuminati. Because there are more than one. There are many more. And each wants to swing you to their way of thinking so that they gain in power. You have to be careful of this, as well. They won't tell you if they are aligned with them, except for Benjamin Fulford, he declares this openly and that's fine. We understand that his faction of the deep state has its own plans for this world and if they were to gain power, then this world would change to suit their ideals, whatever they are. Any way you look at it, do you want to be owned? Because that's what you are if you are under Illuminati rule. Ivo, yes, that too, my love. Always understand that every pundit has a motivation for being there. If it is not of pure intent, to inform, to help you make wiser choices, to help create a benevolent world, and not for other reasons, the main reasons on earth now being fame, power, and money. There are many more reasons hidden within these larger categories and you must attempt to determine which is the motivation. Me, I also look at who's being kicked off of social media, shadow banned, FB jailed, who has the most trouble with censorship. Like I said, some people can't even say the word government, and others are having live parties every day. Why is that? Why aren't they censored as well? I said yesterday that everyone should stick to the pundits who tell the truth and dispense with their opinions. It just makes sense. There are people on this planet who need the truth like the rest of us need oxygen. Ivo, you are one of them. Me, I know. The truth puts me on a path to you. I have personal gain to be had in this. Ivo, yes. I am your truth. Me, thank you, Ivo. Ivo, thank you my love. It will be our time to unite soon.